Jean, good evening.
Good evening, welcome to the School Building Committee meeting of Tuesday, December 9th, 2014. We will start with the Georgetown Middle High School project. We will start with the approval of minutes from our last meeting of November 18th, 2014. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the middle school from November 18th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Laughing at me?
No.
Am I talking fast?
I did the way you looked at me like I have to.
Sorry.
I
Okay.
seconded.
All right, is there any discussion on these?
I was here.
Oh, you were, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I missed that.
Want all the credit I can get.
What are you talking about?
She was
She was
present.
at
She was
present.
Wasn't at the meeting and her name wasn't
I
on
read the
the
minutes.
list of attendees.
No, I
No,
had
you're listed as being there.
What about the, maybe it's Pembroke's? One of them I didn't see the,
Okay.
Well,
Sorry.
you're listed on the middle school, so right now the middle school is.
okay, sorry. I don't have it in front of
Okay,
me.
all right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstained.
Abstain.
All right. Okay, and then we only have two invoices, one from municipal and one from DRA, and they total $35,885. That is through the month of November. So I'd like to make a motion to approve our monthly invoices for $35,885.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on these? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Helping you out.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. 12, 9, 14, you guys could please sign. All right, Pat, would you like to give us an update on our
Yeah,
budget?
just follow your chronology, update of the budget. If you flip to page 3 of the report, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, we're right on target. If you follow it all the way down, there's no categories that need any adjustments. The reimbursable services, if you look at it, there's still uncommitted 44,000 in that particular category. Those particular categories are the DRA categories for a lot of the investigation and so forth. Obviously, we don't have a contract yet. We're holding the budget that MSBA authorized. And then as you work your way down, you can see that the construction contingency was the 410. It's still 410. Owner's contingency is 170. So everything is exactly the way, at this point, the way MSBA has approved the project. And the job moves along, obviously heading toward the completion of the construction documents and obviously into the bid stage. So the budget is right on target. It's right where it's supposed to be. There's been no adjustments in it. Update on the design schedule. I'm gonna let Courtney talk about that. We have a schedule attached to the back, but I'll let Courtney start with any comments that she wants to make regarding the schedule.
Just to say, we're heading towards the 90% pricing period. We're getting documents ready for December 18th, and then after that, consultants will be getting documents to us on January 19th for the 100%, and then they will be on the street on January 22nd.
Oh,
So there'll be a bidding period after that. We'll receive the filed sub-bids and the GC bids the same way that we did for Pembroke, and then evaluate those and hopefully get the contractor started for April vacation.
And that is exactly the way it's originally been
Right.
put together. The schedule's been going over with the school department. They're giving us access to get started in April during the vacation. And
is
they'll
that for
give
the
us
roof?
The gymnasium.
The gym.
Gymnasium,
could-
they're gonna give us the, and there's other areas they could start, so they have some flexibility to make a proposal in starting other areas, but the school has allowed us to use the gymnasium and get started on that. But as I've mentioned before, really the key to getting started in April is allowing enough time to get shop drawings done, get the approvals done, so the bulk of the work is ready to start. You can hit the road running when kids are out, so that the products have been approved and they've had time to do some fabrication. But that's the biggest advantage of obviously awarding, and then getting some work started in April certainly is an advantage.
Will the gym be done for September?
The gym is scheduled to be done for September. Yeah, as is the bulk of the project, with the exception of the front portion of the first floor where there's structural work that's got to be done. And that's another area where, again, in dealing with the school department, they've been very accommodating and understanding by allowing that to drift beyond the start of school. So with the additional classrooms that we're vacating, it gives them enough room to, obviously, it'll be tight, but it gives them enough room to obviously utilize the building, so.
So when they start back, they'll have a new gym?
I'll have
That'll
a
be
new-
nice.
a renovated gym.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Does it consist of a new floor or the floor staying and just sanded?
You take the expansion joint comes out, the floor gets resanded, it all gets restriped. I think there's a new curtain and there's some other upgrades on pads and things.
New backboards or just the same
The
backboards?
same backboards, they're relocated, and so we're patching the floor where the storage room is coming out over on the, I believe, the south side of the gym, near closer to the turf fields, that side, and restriping, refinishing everything in there.
You're
And
gonna redo the
they're gonna-
logo?
That is a custom paint job. We can put for a graphic to be done there, but that one is pretty elaborate. It's a little different than what we've seen. So it'd be helpful if we could get if you had graphics or something like that.
The person that refinishes the floor has an artist that works with him, he's the one that did it.
Okay. Yeah, if we could get that, that would be helpful.
I thought a parent did it. It wasn't a parent, huh?
No, a parent did the one on the wall in the calf.
I must do what I was
Oh, that's a
thinking of.
nice one too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But so
the
this
issue
would
with that
just
is
be-
working that into the schedule and making sure that that's a
Right.
process that doesn't, expand upon that. So the
Right.
GC would have to approve whoever,
Does
comes in and
that.
does the
Redone.
work.
And what's gonna happen with the stands, with the
There's gonna be new bleachers there.
new bleachers?
Yeah, the old wooden bleachers are coming out, new ones that have ADA access, ADA specific locations and everything.
Okay.
All right,
And
Pete-
are we gonna have a new flag? There's kind of that vintage, flag. It's not, I know
That's
there's a
not
better word for it.
really in the
It's not in
scope,
the scope.
no,
It's a
because
light,
it's,
light blue. It may
Where's the
have
flag?
sentimental value. When you first come into the gym and you look straight ahead, it's
Mhm.
big.
Yeah, I think we replaced that already.
Yeah?
I-
Because it's not,
well,
it's not the
we would
color.
advise
Yeah,
that,
it's like a really light
It's a really
blue.
light,
Yeah,
We
I
would
think the
actu-
sun
Oh, I-
did a number on that.
we would
That
actually
was like
advise
an
that all the
antique.
banners and flags be taken down before the work starts so that they're
Right.
protected, because
That's good to know.
Yeah, I assume that you guys will
Okay.
just coordinate, where April's really not that far away. You guys should probably just go in and sit and meet with Peter and
right,
whomever
we're
else.
gonna have
and
another
just to-
phasing discussion.
Yeah,
and-
just to make sure that everything that needs to, we have plenty of time to, take down and do whatever we need to do to prep for that.
Yeah, and just the general cleanup of the certain
Yep.
areas.
Yep, and stuff.
Just can't rain from April vacation to the rest of
Yeah.
I think,
With regard to design, one thing that we're gonna be talking to Mike again, there's been a lot of talk about the units that have to be removed, and we're not sure that they're condensers or they're air handling units. We think they're condensers. They're condensers, they're pretty easy, because you just put them on sleepers. If they're air handlers, you need a curb, so that obviously it allows access for the ductwork to get into the building. But whatever they are, we would have talked to Mike tomorrow, because we really need to know in the specifications how to approach that. Either we're taking off the existing and simply replacing them, or if, obviously, there's access to fund new units to the extent that they can be there in time to put them onto the roof when it's getting done, that would be an advantage. So we'll be discussing that with Mike tomorrow, to find out, A, what type of units are they, B, is there still the desire to go out and the means to go out and get new units, and if they are, we'll get them dovetailed in with the schedule so that it's accommodated, so sometime this summer, whether they are replacements or whether they're existing units to be put back in place, the documents will be clear as to what has to happen with those.
Right.
So
They have the money to buy the new ones.
Yeah, we just have to
Again,
know
yeah.
exactly what the
I don't know,
contractor's scope
that's
will
Mike,
be.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you said condensing units, or what other kind of unit?
Well, either the condensing units simply make the chilled water, and it's piped into the building, so it's much easier, it's just piping that goes in. If they're air handling units, then obviously there's a coil in the unit, that unit's taking in fresh air, mixing it with the chilled or hot water, and obviously funneling it back into the building. And chances are, if it's a new unit, the curb will be different, which is integral to obviously support the unit. So it's a little bit more involved if it's an air handling unit. We think that they're condensers, but again, like I said, we'll find out from Mike tomorrow. He's aware of it and he's prepared to discuss it. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Peter, do you have anything else to add or ask about their schedule and
No,
your?
no, we usually often.
Yeah, Peter's been great to work with. I'm not just saying it because he's here, but we've sat down, we've had discussions about schedule and accommodations, and Peter certainly understands the implications, obviously, of getting involved into a fairly involved renovation project and the
Yep.
issues that can come up through nobody's fault, you know, so,
Right, so as of April vacation, there's gonna be no use of the gym, right?
Correct.
right, yeah.
Well, the good news is the other field will be ready. You know, there were times where kids used the gym because the field was so muddy with
Yeah.
the new turf.
Yeah.
If it rains, we're gonna have an issue, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, but a light rain, they can still go out.
Okay,
And then update on the MSBA responses.
Yep.
They actually have sent us a packet to be answered, which is standard arrangement. They sent in a packet and asked for responses, and those have been prepared, and they're due tomorrow. There's two pieces of it. One was some questions on the DESE submission, to the extent that they actually asked us and DRA to go in on this past Monday to go over it in detail. Chuck and Courtney went in, met with MSBA. They've outlined exactly what they're looking for. Courtney's working on it, and they want that information by Friday. We anticipate that'll go in by Friday. The rest of the responses that involve the estimates, a lot of the other questions on the details and everything else, those, again, are being prepared, and those are due to be submitted tomorrow to MSBA. We met last Thursday, we met at DRA's office to go through a lot of the issues that we've been talking to them about regarding value engineering, details, things of that nature that obviously we feel should be expounded on and so forth, and it's been done in a cooperative effort, so everything is moving along as we would anticipate it would with a, you know, with a professional design team and so forth. So it's going along fine. Answers will go in tomorrow. As Courtney mentioned, the 90% set will be ready on the 18th. It'll go into MSBA shortly thereafter, and we're just on that track to get this thing on the street, get it out to bid, and hopefully get some good competition and get started.
Was there any more discussion on the alternates with the skylights or the?
There are two alternates, yeah, there are two alternates that are been added to the documents, the windows in the back and then replacing the skylights.
Did they have any more questions on that?
Did they have any?
Yeah.
The only question, they didn't have any questions, they simply had a reminder, they don't reimburse for alternates.
They don't participate at all.
Yeah. You can do them within the confines of your budget, but they don't reimburse for alternates. That's just a standard, that's not just Georgetown, they just don't, as a policy, they don't reimburse for alternates.
right, and we don't have to look into that until we have to go out to bid.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
When the numbers come in, there'll be a base price, each contractor will have a base price, they'll have an additive price for each one of those alternates. You
And
have to take them in order,
Yeah,
and again, you'll have the option of saying yes or no.
right, okay, and,
Update on the 90% cost, we've gone over it again, we actually went back through, our estimator had actually looked at an older set of documents, he's done some adjustments to his, but on the same token, that was one of the questions that MSBA had. Our estimate was about 6-7% below RLB's estimate, which is DRA's estimator, so they were questioning that, we went back in, the gap has been closed to about 2 to 3%, so they'll be a lot more comfortable seeing that gap closed. There'll be another estimate done at 90%, which is gonna happen, the end of this month. So all these estimates are all happening rapid fire. And obviously, the accuracy of an estimate usually is directly proportional to the information available. So as information is upgraded, obviously the estimates become more accurate. But there's only one estimate that's gonna count, and it's the one that the low bidder is gonna do when he bids this job. So we are optimistic that we'll be okay.
okay.
Uh,
And then the townwide phone system, is that now not under this project?
Well,
That's something I'm not that familiar with, so I'm gonna let either Courtney or Chuck, if he knows something
Yeah.
about it, talk about
well,
that.
we want to be clear, because we've heard rumors that it may be a townwide project that's already being taken care of, and we have the phone replacement in this base bid, and it was already in the PFA, it's already included in the scope that's already been approved by MSBA. So we are keeping it in there unless we hear some official direction from the town that it should not be in this project. So just to give you a heads up on that, because I received an email from Wes Vaughn, who's the new technology director
Yep.
over there, and said, pretty sure it's happening. We don't know if it's for sure. Don't have the
Yeah, so
final
keep it
okay.
until we know for sure.
So-
Taking a
Right.
good
I
position.
mean, if
So
it stays
that's
in,
our-
it's reimbursed. If
Yeah.
it's
Right.
takes down as a
That's
town-wide,
right.
you're gonna pay 100%.
Right.
No, no, leave it
Well-
there.
But I know
Okay.
he was looking at a new townwide system.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Good
ours just has to
Yeah.
coordinate with that type of system. If we have to go
Right.
IPTV and a hosted system, that's what we need to know.
All right, Peter, I just have a question. So, did you guys just replace something in the phone system when the phones just all went down?
Yeah, the whole thing.
So, you just
It's
replaced,
a new phone system, not, we didn't, just the phones, not the intercom.
okay,
Oh, just
So
the
the-
devices.
Right,
Right.
no, well, in the server,
It's the whole new system.
Yeah.
We
When-
use it with Westmont.
Yeah. That'll be good.
Not just this week.
yeah, but there aren't classroom phones or
Okay.
anything like that, but there's a new server, a new system, and new phones.
So if you could bring Courtney, make sure you bring the drawings in from the high school tomorrow. Oh, I'll bring mine.
Yeah, I won't be going
Is it
back
for
in.
safety reasons that the phones are typically in the classroom? Is that something we need in the classrooms, required?
That's
in the
what we were
classrooms?
doing, is
Well,
putting
that's
them
how
in
you
the classrooms.
communicate with,
Yep.
Right, you have an emergency or something like that,
well,
Or if
when
you
you wanna
just
call
need
the
to-
office.
call the office, yeah.
Yeah. Or if the
Or we
office
wanna
needs to
call
call
them.
you.
do the teachers ever just use their cell phones, ever, or no?
They use them when they go outside, if they take their class outside, then they have to leave their cell phone number with us, and
Okay. But when they're in the school, they use the school phone?
yeah, there's no outside, the building is amplified for Sprint, and that's the phones that we have.
Yeah.
So unless you had a Sprint phone, it's not gonna work in the building, the signal is horrible for any other carrier.
Okay, all right, so Courtney,
We're gonna follow up with
put
it.
you in charge of that. We'll have that on the agenda for next time, just for a resolution as to how we're gonna proceed on that.
Yeah, we're meeting with West tomorrow anyhow, so.
Just out of
He goes
curiosity,
to our meetings.
Bob, how expensive is a phone system like that?
It ranges, I think it's around $70,000-$80,000.
So it would be better to keep it in there and then the town wouldn't have to pay as much.
Yeah, you'd get
Oh,
the
yeah.
reimbursement rate on it.
Right, but we just have to understand what
Yeah.
they need to do.
Just,
We just need
if the
to
town was gonna create a system, it would need to connect,
Right, it needs to coordinate
Right.
with that.
coordinate.
Right.
right. Okay, so you're meeting with them tomorrow, is it after the weekly meeting? Is that, or during it?
They come to our meeting each week, Wes and Mike all come to our meeting.
Okay,
we'll just
so-
pull them aside to talk about
Okay,
this.
so you'll do it tomorrow tomorrow morning, okay,
No problem.
okay, perfect, so we'll leave that on for.
I guess the only thing I would mention is that in this past month, we've been to the school on 2 occasions to look up above the ceilings, because we're trying to chase out every ambiguity we possibly can. There's gonna be certain things we'll never find, but there's a lot happening above those ceilings, and right now, those ceilings are scheduled to be changed, so there's been a lot of questions about, can we save the grid without having to get up there and change a lot of things that are above the ceiling? Our second meeting actually involved not only the engineer and Courtney, it also involved the inspectors, because there are some items up there that are questions in borderline, and they were very good about offering their assistance, and so it was a very meaningful arrangement, and everybody is aware of what's up there, the ramifications of what happens if we take the grid down, if we don't take the grid down, some of the things that have to be relocated and rehung if we do take them down. So there's a lot of things that have been talked about, and everybody is digesting that, and obviously looking at trying to close all the gaps and making sure we're dealing with as much as we can possibly find out about the existing building. And that's really important in a renovation job. You know, you can't tear open walls, but if you have an opportunity to start poking around above a ceiling and so forth, and they were very, very cooperative. The building inspector was there, electrical inspector was there. It was a well-done session.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. That's the estimate. I
Yeah.
just think they should-
Thanks.
okay, I think that wraps up. Do you guys have anything else on the middle high school?
No, the only thing is that we just got the latest estimate, and there's about 3% difference between our estimate now and the estimate that RLB has done. So
Okay.
this will be submitted to MSBA tomorrow, yeah.
So is RLB's lower?
RLB is higher. Their number was just around the budget, and we're about 3% under that.
And we were 6% before?
We were 6.5%.
7.6.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the middle high school meeting.
Second?
All in favor? All right, thank you, everyone. I think we can just roll right into the, Pembroke meeting. You guys are good with that? All right, so we would like to open the school building committee meeting of December 9th, 2014 for the Pembroke School project. And the first order of business is approval of the minutes from November 18th, 2014. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from November 18th, 2014 for the Pembroke School.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on these? Kerry is listed as not on this one, right?
That's
And
the
you
one
were
I'm
here.
facing.
Do I read one of
So-
them?
So Kerry was present at that one. Chuck, if you could just,
I will.
So you'll get paid for that now.
Yes, please, sure.
you are listed as not being there, yep. All right, so,
Any discussion?
I did any discussion, didn't I? Yes. Is there any further discussion on this? So actually, I'd like to amend the motion.
As
You-
amended.
As amended, okay. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
This is the freight invoice, requisition. That's for signature.
Okay.
No.
And next
It'll sign the rest.
is, all right,
Oh, Stu signs it.
the invoices.
Nobody's signed. You sign.
Oh, that's true, we don't sign.
Just take them back.
Wait, they need those. This is copies.
I have a
Okay.
copy of them.
Okay.
I have a copy of that. Here.
Chuck,
Okay.
take all of that,
I took all paper.
and the other one too.
All right, so our,
I brought an extra briefcase.
Chuck probably has an
one do you
extra
need?
copy.
He's gonna need wheels soon.
All right, so our monthly invoices for the Pembroke School project include invoices from Green Seal, UTS, Municipal DRA, and Brate, and they total $1,955,469.26. I would like to make a motion to approve these minutes as stated for $1,955,469.26.
I approve the invoices. In the, you said minutes,
Who do we
invoices.
got first and
Oh,
second?
invoices.
Jim,
You good?
Yeah.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion over these invoices? I'll let you look at that. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? They are approved. Okay. Next, all right, Pat, update on the construction project and the schedule.
If you look at the report.
Which is always good news in this
Page two.
project.
And, I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory, you can read it down, I'll just take them in just general categories. If you look at the site work, I think at the last meeting, everybody was in favor of obviously discontinuing Green Seal as being unnecessary because the site was about 90% completely covered. By now, it's even advanced beyond that, so most of those areas within the confines of the new building have been covered either with loam or clean material or paving. So the site is in pretty good shape. And Green Seal now, again, like I said, is no longer necessary at this point, and we'll talk about that for phase two at some point. They continue to loam and cap around the outside. At this point, I would doubt very much if they're gonna be able to do anything in the way of hydro seeding, but they might be doing simply some spraying to stabilize some of the bankings and so forth. They've used some erosion matting around some of those areas, and it's probably all we can hope for at this stage of the game. We're not gonna be seeing anything green in the near future. The septic system actually passed a preliminary review the last couple of days. They actually were able to test the pumps and everything else. We've got videotapes of the system functioning with the liquids running all the way down to the end of the pipes, which is what's necessary to have a successful test. Thursday, the Board of Health is coming to approve it, and they'll be able to get the entire septic area covered over. And that's what the goal is, to get that covered, and get that area set so that it's covered with clean material. Not-field areas are pretty well covered with clean material. Once they get this down, they can cover that as well, and that'll be it till the spring. Playground equipment's been installed. There's been a lot of fencing, guardrail fencing installed. The playground equipment's been installed.
Is it in the budget for signs in the wooded area you know, to let hunters know that there's a school coming up and they shouldn't be hunting in that area, or is that part of the school has to pay for that?
There's no signs of that nature. There's a lot of signage, but there's nothing in
In the wood.
the
the
documents that talks about that, yeah.
Okay.
Do you normally
Was there-
do that in a school that's close to?
I have, I'll be honest with you, it's probably a good idea. I've never seen it. You know, we've had schools that have been out in the wilderness, but I haven't seen signage like that. We've seen a lot of different type of signage, but I don't ever recall seeing signs, you know, advising hunters, you know, you'd have to put them, I guess, pretty
Well,
far
we'd have
out,
to
you
put it
know.
on the lot line,
I
just to
didn't
let them know.
Yeah,
People hunted back there.
It's the state forest,
It's
they
a
hunt
state
back there all the
forest,
time.
You can hunt in any state
Yeah,
forest?
they hunt behind your house.
I do know that, but I
That's the
didn't-
same state forest.
uh,
so it's certainly something to consider. It's
Yeah.
probably a good idea.
I think
Yeah,
we
I
should
think
get
so.
signs,
Yeah,
yes,
good idea, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't wanna see some guy walking through with camouflage with a gun going by the school,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
so.
true.
What does that
Concrete,
fall under?
I'd say the school department.
I will bring it up.
Can you bring that up
Yeah, I certainly
to
will.
the school committee?
Yes.
Thank you.
you probably wanna have a few probably further into the woods also.
Yeah, like
I
I'd
mean,
put it right at the,
You
Yeah,
could, those,
just so-
a
just
shot will go a long,
because-
long way. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
put them on the property
At
line,
the
they'll be taking a
line.
shot before they
Yeah.
see a sign, you know?
And.
Yeah, because you don't want them shooting 100 yards in and
I
shooting
mean, it
towards
is,
the school.
like, there's a hill
And
Yeah.
like,
in that back area, which is
how
good.
many
yeah,
yards?
You know,
I
so
mean-
then it goes down.
I don't know.
So if we put it at the property line out that way, it should be good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. Pete. It's a
Police,
good idea.
maybe?
DCR.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Department of Conservation and
Stage.
Recreation.
I mean, it really is part of the project. I would think the project should pay for it.
Well, down at the bottom of our agenda, we actually have, we can discuss, that can go under our extra contingency
Contingency,
money
yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
right.
And then we are under bid, so
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is money, so
Yeah.
just
Is that at the
FYI,
bottom of that
keep
first page?
Yeah, it's.
No,
well,
the
it's-
bottom of the agenda,
Oh, the
sorry,
agenda.
the
Okay,
agenda. I
okay.
put it on the agenda for
Oh,
this week,
okay,
Alright, 'cause
because
I gotta,
So, it might possibly
Something
come
that I
out of
wanna add on.
contingency money.
okay.
it's a good thing.
I'm sure everybody does.
Oh, we get to add on?
Okay, all right, back on, all right, so you're gonna
And do you
work
know
with,
who I would contact at the Department of Conservation and Recreation?
Just, you know, it's Georgetown Raleigh State Forest.
Right.
There are rangers sometimes out there, so.
A ranger?
There are park rangers.
Would Steve Brzezinski?
I don't really go.
I would
out
say,
there.
yeah,
I
why
don't
don't
even
you
really-
start with
Steve
Steve?
might know.
Talk to
Brzezinski
Steve
in the,
Brzezinski.
he's the conservation
Conservation
agent for
agent.
Georgetown.
Okay.
He's right in, he's in this
Steve
building.
Okay,
Brzezinski.
conservation agent for
Yep.
Georgetown.
I have his info if you need it after.
Okay, great,
Um,
thank you.
Okay.
The last thing on the site work is the emergency access drive, the gates have been installed,
Are they
both at
too
the,
low, or is that the normal height?
that's the
They're
specified
supposed to be
height, yeah.
30 inches. They are too long, actually. They kind of have to be cut back in a couple locations.
So that kids can walk through?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the one at the, especially,
was
the
my
one at the
second
top,
question.
yeah, you'll see it comes out where, in the walking path, they're gonna take that, cut that off, so they can
Okay.
actually access it
Right.
on the walking path. Concrete, they've actually managed to continue to obviously pour walks and so forth. Again, they probably have, depending on the weather, they probably have a little bit more time to get some more of that concrete down. Quite a bit of it's down already. Whatever they don't get, they'll just pick up in the spring. The masonry, for all intent purposes, with the exception of the sign, is basically complete. Exterior, the roof trim is continuing, storefront and curtain walls. There's a few other areas where obviously they've got to be done. We're still missing some fancy glass that's been on order for a while. The goal would be obviously next month to have all of the permanent structures all in place.
A question about one of the roofs on the B section of the building. There's a roof that slants back toward the flat roof, and this last snowstorm, which was only 2 or 3 inches, all that snow slides off and goes in that area. Are we gonna ever have to shovel that area off because it's,
Our engineers are working on the load calculations memo to identify that the roof can handle live loads as well as the snow loads. Something that we might do to kind of help slow the progression is we could always add roof rails at the end, like
Yep.
a snow fence basically at the
and
end.
how about, well, if you do that, it should stop some of the snow, but are we gonna have to worry about it leaking through the wall? Cause I know the roof's got the rubber membrane, but what does the wall have on it that it's gonna stop water from going in if all that snow is
The
built up?
connection
You
from
mean
the roof to
you mean
the wall?
connection
Yeah.
part? Yeah, it's-
That's all flashed
sealed.
and
It's all
sealed.
flashed, yeah,
Yep.
right up the side. Yeah. There's an ice and water shield goes right up the side of the building. So that should stop anything, that's normally where you have a lot of leaks, high-low
Yep.
conditions. Because the one time the flashing went up 10 inches,
Yeah.
and it stopped. So when the water backed up, it rolled right behind it, and it was in the building.
Yep.
Now the buildings are set up so that the ice and water shield goes right up the exterior wall
Right.
Okay.
and right around the flashing and the edging, so it should be tight as a drum. So, again, like I said, in theory, that's what it's supposed to be. Will there
Right.
be a spot here or there? If there is, they'll take care of it. So on the exterior, like I said, right now, within a month, we should have all of those items 100% tightened up with all the permanent enclosures. Finishes, again, there's finishes working all over the building. The drywall is touching up, the drywall is almost complete. There's a lot of painting going on, there's first coats going on in, the A wings, the B wing has got a couple of coats, C wing's got in some cases everything but the finish coat, so there's a lot of painting going on. Casework and millwork continue in all areas, and it varies depending on which section of the building you're in. The C building is much more advanced than the B building or the A building. The upper floors are much more advanced than the lower floors, but in general, there's activity everywhere, and most of the products are there. Wall tile and bathrooms are complete in all areas. Resilient flooring is being installed in the C wing, moving over to the B wing. Prepping for floor tile and the terrazzo began. Wood ceilings in the media center have been installed. Acoustical ceilings are installed in all of the C areas. They got the okay to white out the areas, installing all the tile. Inspectors have done all their above ceiling inspections. The engineers have done it. We've done it. Commissioning people have looked at it. They can't white the ceilings in until everybody buys into it, that everything above the ceiling is appropriate and according to spec. That's all been done. So when you go in there and you see ceilings that have been whited out, everybody has verified that above the ceiling, everything is done according to the documents. Elevator installation began and is well underway. And we're anticipating that by the end of January, the elevator should be up and running. Food service equipment began, and actually, I think all of the equipment is just about there. It's going to all be hooked in, but most of the equipment is there. Mechanical, electric, plumbing. The plumbing, the HVAC, the fire protection, they're all around 90%. I mean, they have really been flying along, so they're well underway. HVAC is getting ready to do a lot of the startups, as is the plumbing. Once the components are in place, I mean, you've got boiler startups that are scheduled for tomorrow. So again, like I said, now you go through that whole process of starting the equipment. Once it gets started, you go through another series of checkouts with the commissioning agent to make sure it's running properly, and there's a whole series of tests that you're going through to make sure everything is running properly. I left the electrical to the end. The electrician has had between 35 and 40 electricians working on this job. The interesting thing is that they're at about 60% complete, where the other trades are about 90%. There's an awful lot of work to be done. But they have had between 35 and 40. Today, I think they were down to about 30, because there was no power in the building, because we made a swap over with the transformer. But there's no way they could put extra people there. So it's not that they haven't been, working diligently, but there's just an awful lot of work and a lot of connections to be done, because they're involved with every one of the other trades, powering up all of their equipment. They're doing the technology wiring. They're getting ready for the plumbers startups. They're getting ready for the heating startups. So there's a lot of tie-ins with the fire alarm to the sprinkler. But again, they are. You go down the list of employees, and you got 75 people there. Half of them are electricians. But again, like I said, it's an interesting stat as to how much work there is electrically on the job. Next month's anticipated activities, we talked a little bit about it, capping all of the, capping all the areas. And the septic system, again, as of this coming Thursday, that should be okay to get backfilled. It'll be approved as complying with the documents. Exterior, as we said, the envelope work, again, like I said, the idea is to try and get the envelope, just as close to 100% as we can in the next month. Complete the metal roof edge trim. There isn't much to be done there. There's a little bit of trim work to be done. If you look at the back of the building, up on the roof side, you'll see that where the solar panels are going, they've got the clips on. They'll be installing the solar panels as the weather permits. It's not a critical path item, but at some point they'll get those up installed, just so they can get them hooked up. And then on the inside is just going to bristle with activity with every one of the finished trades. They'll all be working from flooring to walls to millwork to ceilings and all the other finishes. Excuse me. And the MEPs, the same thing. They'll be finishing their work, and really shifting over mechanical, sprinkler, and HVAC to really getting the systems up and running. Now that everything has been installed, now you gotta get everything up and running, and that's what they'll be working on that. Turn on the permanent power. Today, there were a couple of milestones today. You wouldn't think there'd be big milestones outside today, but today we got the okay on the septic system that we can go with Board of Health, and they were out there today in the rain changing over the transformers, which is why we had no power today. We had a temporary transformer. They pulled that and they installed the permanent transformer. And I'll tell you, tremendous accolades for the Georgetown Light. They've been unbelievably cooperative. I mean, they've been there when you needed them. They've done everything they could to expedite things, and you've got one great local electric company, I'll tell you.
They are terrific. Very
They
fortunate.
are. You are really, yeah.
We all
it's-
appreciate
They've been
what you do.
terrific, yeah. And
What's-
Chuck, who's interacted with them, can speak more to that, but they've been great, very terrific. Yeah.
What's the design flow again, Courtney, of the septic system? Do you know, is it over 5,000?
Oh, you got me on that one.
What
right
size
now.
is it?
What's the design flow?
9,990 gallons.
Really?
Yeah.
So they kept it under
Just-
10,000?
just- yep, just
They-
shy of
they
10,000, yeah,
require
exactly.
NIPSES permit?
Just shy of 10,000, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's other ramifications. If you're over 10,000, you have a different set of criteria to work around. So we're 9,999 gallons, I think it is.
That's
It
based
is,
on
it
per
is
student,
right
isn't
under
Yeah.
the threshold.
That's-
Student, staff, yeah, yeah. Just what I mean, it's an empirical evaluation, so, yeah.
So we didn't, like, eliminate any teachers or anything like that, just to get under,
No, but they need 4 porta-johns up there.
Sixth grade, I see it, apologize.
Or outhouse.
And the schedule, again, we're still running ahead of schedule. I mean, I think everybody's clear. You can look at any one of the CPMs, and we kind of smile when we look at them, because the CPM is not reflective of what's happening out there. It's going quicker than anticipated. But we're gonna get into a period now where some things will not go as fast as they thought. When they get into all the startups and all of the items, and something doesn't necessarily work, and they've got to change something and adjust something. So there's a lot, and it's good to have all of this time.
That's right,
Because
yeah.
it keeps us on time.
Yep.
We have a little room to breathe, and we still get to the point where we'd like to finish this job so that it's substantially done with a minimal punch list before all the furniture starts rolling in.
So are they starting to train Mike as they bring things on?
Well,
Or not yet?
yeah, well, he'll be there for a startup, but the training really starts when there's something really to train something about. He'll be there tomorrow, and he's actually been through it. We've actually walked through the boiler room with him to show him where, obviously, some of the valves are. He's gone through that. More importantly, he's walked through, anytime the engineer's there, he's free to walk through with them. So I'd say he's going through the familiarity stage right now,
Yeah.
and he'll be there when they start things up. The real formal training is when they get the temp controls up and running. That's when you really get a handle on being able to really control things.
so does he have a control room that he?
Is he what, I'm sorry?
There is
Is there an actual control room where he?
Well, he's got, in his office, there'll be the computers with all the BAS systems and so forth in there, yeah, yeah.
Is there a backup person who knows how to do all, I mean, is that
Let me
something?
put-
What
well,
we-
he
what we see
should
oftentimes-
have, there should be backups along the line.
What
yeah.
we see a lot too is the technology director often gets involved too because of the systems that are incorporated into the new building.
Now, the system that for heating and air conditioning or cooling system, will that be, so you don't drive through in the wintertime and see a window open because one room's hotter than the other? Or it'll be balanced and you won't have to see a window open because it's too hot in that room?
You won't have to see any windows open, ever.
You shouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't ever have, now, will you see a window open occasionally? Probably.
Prob-
That's gonna be a matter of internal training of staff. There's no program you can put together that's gonna obviously, but
We do have
obviously
the
there'll be
green, the
pressure on the
fresh air
staff.
system that has the green light in the rooms to tell people when the dew point, the humidity and the temperature are okay. It's different on the western exposure than it is on the eastern exposure. of the
If you
ceiling.
get, with this system here, if you start opening windows on a humid day, what you do is you have the possibility of creating, condensation inside the building. So there'll be indicators as to when you can and can't open windows. Theoretically, you would never have to open the windows. If you weren't, fresh air fan, you could leave the window shut, and that would be the best environment you could have, because all the fresh air is coming through the system. The cooling and heating is adjusted automatically. Fresh air is adjusted automatically. So theoretically, you would never have to open it. But human nature being what it is, there's gonna probably be a nice day when somebody wants to open a window, and hopefully they'll do that when they have the green light to open a window.
Right, it's,
And it won't be injurious to the process.
it's designed to minimize energy
Yeah.
usage.
Yeah, because
So
I
that
don't
you
mind,
open-
you know, because it's a nice day, open up a window, but when it's, 20 degrees out and they open the window because the room's too hot.
Well, again, like I said, they should never get to the point where they're too hot.
Yeah.
Now you live in the real world. Will there be occasions until they get balanced out and everything else?
There
Yes,
might-
there'll be occasions, they will. But again, these systems are designed, and again, you can see everything on the computer. You can see the temperatures on the computer. You can adjust from the computer. You can go in and adjust fresh air. You can adjust just about every one of the systems that the building is gonna have, right from Mike's control room, and you'll actually have remote access, should you choose to be able to remotely handle it.
You can override his system?
You can do what?
Mike and the people that are trained on the sick.
Yep.
Is system game, and there are times that they may
Yep.
have to in extreme days, but no, the average person using the building with the thermostat on the wall cannot over.
They should have, most likely they'll have a range of like 72
A
to
couple of degrees,
74.
that's all the local thermostat will do.
Yeah.
To keep control, so that somebody isn't cranking it to 80 or something, yeah. And then again, like I said, when you have a function, if you have a function later on, you'll have, night setbacks and everything else, but if you have a function, you'll be able to set, the gymnasium to a certain temperature, to a certain time. You get a parent-teacher's night, you want to keep the heat on a little bit longer, or the cooling on a little bit longer, you can do that right from the central station.
That's great.
So that's something Myra will have to keep track of too, making sure those are on schedules.
Yeah.
We'll set the schedules, the HVAC contractors, the commissioning agent, and the engineers will sit and set the schedules before the building's turned over. So it'll all be programmed based on the initial schedules that the school department, school staff
Right.
give them. If things change, Mike will have the training to be able to go in and make those changes. But we also have a commissioning agent and the HVAC contractors for up to a year afterwards
Yeah.
to help them a lot.
Right. Right, but that's the kind of thing that she's gonna have to keep in the back of her mind. Oh, I better remind Mike, we changed this date. Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
And there's a lot of automation to the lighting control system as well.
Oh, yeah, that's.
You can change your lighting, you can do, you can keep things on and off. So there's a lot to go through when you go through the training, which is why the documents will have like 40 hours worth of training, because you need it.
Yeah.
And we recommend, if the spec doesn't call for it, we recommend videotaping the training.
It does
Yeah.
call for it.
Personnel changes, so that it's one thing to have a couple of manuals that are 8 inches thick, but it's nice to have it,
A
be able
video,
to relate
right.
to seeing it, what's
Agree.
exactly what happened during the training session,
Yep.
so, yeah, it's gonna be quite a facility, it'll be quite a facility when you're done. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And just as it gets closer to the time where it looks like we know more when the building will be turned over to the town, you will stay in contact with like Carol and Mike, because that's
Sure.
when the town's gonna have to start paying the
Yeah.
utilities
We've
and
already
everything,
started talking
Yeah,
to Mike.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
just so they
Yeah.
are planning for it.
yeah.
Are they planning for it?
Mhm.
Okay.
That magic time is what they call substantial
Because
completion.
it's probably, right,
Yeah.
because it could be slightly earlier than what we were anticipating.
Yeah, like I said, it'd be ideal to have it happen, somewhere around, June
June,
sometime,
right.
where the punch list is pretty much behind us and there's minimal punch list. Furniture's ready to come in.
Yep.
It's nice to own the building at that point. You
Right.
get rid of that blurry area between, well, they're not really done, but we're bringing furniture in, and, who dinged a wall, and who did this, and who did that. It's nice to have a clean break and say, we've gone
Yep.
from construction, now we own the building, and we're bringing our furniture and our technology in.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So that is the update on the schedule. As far as the budget's concerned, if you turn the page to page 5. I would just take you down, the contract is the contract, but I would take you down to the last, I guess, 3 lines, where it says construction contingency, where it says committed amount, 3,438,000 and some change, in the second column. That's all of your change orders are in there. So the contract was 32,875, and then we have that 3,438,000 in change orders. And MSBA, if you remember, gave us a gratis to use some of the dollars, and they gave us a budget of 3.9, so it leaves in the construction contingency based on this computation, $529,000 and some change. You also have what they call an owner's contingency. That is for soft costs and things that don't involve construction. Could be FF&E, could be technology, could be testing that overruns or what have you.
Be signs in the woods.
Signs in the woods, yeah, that's correct, yeah. And out of the 426 that you had, we still have 302,000. And then, if you remember, we were under by $1,683,000, which we never touched and we don't contemplate ever having to touch. So the town is, appropriated on top of everything else, the $1,683,000. Now, the 529 potentially can get reduced. So to be conservative, if you turn the page over to the change order report or the change proposal log, which is page 8, Chuck does a great job with these. I mean, they're really clear and you can really follow them. It's a
Yeah,
it's a
they're very
testament
easy
to
to
Chuck's
follow. I know.
accuracy.
They're very, yep.
But if you take that first column where it says estimated costs, those are items that may and may not ever get done. They may be negotiated, they may get voided. But again, if you look at that, there's about 110,000 of potential changes. If you subtract that 110,000 from the 529, it gives us 419,000. Even if you paid everything on this sheet, you got 419,000. And again, that gives us roughly 4.1% of the remaining balance. If you take the balance of the contractor, put into two categories that we talked about, those that are more risky, less risky, do a computation, come up with a dollar value, and do a comparison, it puts us right on where we should be at this point.
$5,000 in additional trash cans?
That
That's
one
probably-
has not been approved.
That one there, that's one that'll never happen,
Yeah.
Judge.
That's a lot of money.
That's
Yeah,
how much they
yeah.
pay for the trash cans
Yeah.
at the airport,
Yeah.
that bomb-proof. So
Yeah.
no, we're not gonna.
We have not approved that.
So those are, like I said, those are,
My feet on that one for 2 months.
yeah, those are just, that's a combination of the 89 and the 20 gives you the 110, and the computation gives us a 419, even if you paid everything at this point. Now, there will be other changes coming in. They're coming in on a regular basis. They're negotiated, they're talked about. What seems to be approvable is brought before you for approval. But again, every one of these involves a spirited negotiation. In some cases, they just discontinued, they're rejected. In other cases, they're appropriate. So I would say from a budget standpoint, considering where we were, a year ago, I mean, we're in pretty good shape after we got through all of those other issues regarding the soil issues. So
Yep.
budget-wise, I think we're in good shape.
You always ask the question, I think that you may have said it, I apologize. If you look at the bottom of that sheet, it talks about, we've always done these projections of what your contingency should be based on the work left to complete. Based on the work left to complete within the contract, we're running a contingency about a little more than 4%.
Yeah.
That's great. To be this late in the game and be right there is very good.
I mentioned it, but I'm glad you mentioned it again, because it's worth mentioning twice.
Sorry, I missed that.
No, it's worth it.
You were taking the minutes.
But really-
I was. I apologize.
No, that's good, don't apologize, it's great. Good.
It's a good thing to know.
It's good to know.
To know.
And then change order 12 is
Yep.
before you, and I'm gonna let Courtney just go through those items. I think a lot of you, the committee, the change order committee,
Some
or,
of them have.
yeah,
I think some of them we
Some
talked
of
about
them.
last
Also
Yeah.
month,
different
too.
than what we emailed to you was a draft, as I mentioned it in the email, that was a draft. The loose one I put in front of you tonight, is, the actual one that we've gone through. The positive part of it is, the totality is the credit for the irrigation well pumps. That actually went up, we get a little larger credit now, so that's why the numbers are different.
Right, the credit was changed because we had to take into account some wiring that was from one pump, that was designed to be from one pump location to the other. So the actual credit is something that was missed on the original PCO that they sent. So our consultant caught that, and it was increased from, I believe it was 19,000 and some change, up to 21,005 for that credit, which is great news.
and if you remember, that was a result of either, we actually, I think that particular well gave us 300 some odd gallons, which was almost unheard of, I still think they actually broke through one of Peter's water lines and were drawing out of it. That's how much water we're getting. But that resulted in the fact that all we needed was one of the wells.
wells.
Yeah, so that worked out terrific.
Yeah. Okay. All right, what else is on this? So the smoke detectors, we talked about that last time.
That was the one that was approved last
Last
week.
week, yep.
Yep, removing the gym circuits, this was actually a duplicate in the documents, we showed them in a couple locations on the plans. So this is a minor credit just for the devices, not
Yep.
for the wiring associated with them.
Okay.
Wood blocking at curtain wall openings, this is associated with extra blocking and labor that was needed to straighten out some curtain wall heads. We sloped the steel in some areas and we didn't account for additional blocking in those, and neither did the contractor. So this money is to install those, which is actually pretty challenging to install against the slope steel. So that 16.7, we reviewed that several times. Pete actually tracked all the time on site to make sure that they were accounting for the proper time. So irrigation we just talked about. Reduced wall pads, this is in response to some FF&E meetings that we had. They're gonna relocate the climbing wall from the Pearlie Elementary School, which has wall pads on it, to the new Pembroke Elementary School. So there's a minor credit there for the pads along one of the walls. And the sketch is included in here so you can see the location.
Okay.
The last three are storefront modifications for spandrel glass. These are associated with coordination efforts on our side and on Brait's side, things that they've done to modify from the clear glass to the opaque glass in locations where there was exposed piping. They had to modify some ceilings. You'll never notice it as part of when you walk in the building, but it's one of those things that you'll be grateful that we did after the fact. So there's some $8,000, the $2,900, and the $3,200 association with 3 different locations. One's at the bus entry, one's at the main entry where they had to lower the ceiling just a little bit and have a spandrel panel for the glass. So luckily we built some, flexibility into the mullion pattern so that could happen and the ceiling could get just, adjust a little bit, and it wouldn't be a dramatic change to the space or anything like that, so.
Okay.
So do we
All
need
right,
to vote
so-
on that?
Yes.
This is a
Yes.
new one?
Yep.
You need to vote to change order as a total, even though you voted some of these. It just doesn't.
Right, so,
Right.
all right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 12 for $27,756.33 as discussed.
Second.
Also move it.
All right, does anyone have any questions? Any more questions on this change order? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Change order 12 is approved.
Other piece of news.
Okay.
You got on the field, there's more dirt than ever. Is that just loom that's gotta be spread or?
Yeah, they're using that north field.
Yeah.
It's kind of being used as almost like their stockyard.
Okay.
Everything is there and they're moving stuff from there over to the new site.
It's not beneficial to spread the loam right now because they're worried about washouts and having to redo stuff.
There's
in the
enough there to
spring.
almost cover that whole north
How's the
field
ski
area.
hill looking?
Oh, take a look at it. It's not nearly the ski hill that you were hoping for.
Okay.
Not
Uh,
yet. That- it's
Suspect with
it's not,
toboggan.
it's not
Yeah.
finished yet, though.
Does somebody have the invoices that were approved?
They were circulated.
These have to go back.
Oh,
around.
yep, just, you can pass those by.
Those guys have.
Okay, so, all right, so check on page 7 for the approved change orders. You'll change for the actual amount? You have the draft amount in there?
Yes, yes.
You'll update that, okay. And then, all right, so are there any other change orders that we need to
Actually,
discuss?
the other change orders, really proposed change orders, we've already covered those in that page 8, which show you what's outstanding and nothing's been acted on, so
So that's the same from last month?
it's updated based on page 8. And it's a combination of the 89 and the 20, which is the 110 that comes off the 529, so.
Hold on, you just lost me. I was talking about page
you look
7.
at- Yeah,
First of all, I was talking about page 7,
Page 7, yes, yes.
for the approved ones. That's what I was,
They're all yes.
that's what I was asking Chuck about.
Okay.
Thank
All right,
Okay.
that's it.
Sorry, now you can start.
Okay, there's no other changes other than those that appear on page 8.
Okay.
Okay, right, the potential change order,
All right.
right.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
as late as today, some of these numbers have actually changed, so.
yeah.
I
Okay,
have to draw a line in the sand, and I do that on Friday,
yep,
because that's, so I can send
Yep,
it to you.
that's fine.
Because I'm sure you all wanna read it over the weekend before the meeting, so I send it
Yeah,
on Friday.
okay.
Septic field we talked about, Board of Health is gonna approve that on Thursday. The north fields we talked about, I mean, that's gonna get to a point where they're gonna get it as stabilized as they can. The rest of it's gonna start to get in earnest in the spring. And that would take us to the update on the FF&E, which I'll leave to Courtney, and to the extent that he's familiar with it, to Chuck to update you on that. But I think Courtney probably has bulk of the information.
Where did that get settled on? We're gonna put the seed in the spring, let it sit for the fall?
We were hoping early in the game, before it got bogged down, we were hoping to get some seed down this past fall.
That didn't happen, so now we're
Didn't
doing
happen.
the spring, we let it sit for the fall, we use it in the fall.
Well, you should, actually, theoretically, you should let a field sit for a year, theoretically.
So we'll let it sit for the fall
You
and
can
use it in the
see,
spring?
that's,
Six
I
You
would
should-
say
you
that
should
that would
wait
be the
till it's
responsible thing to
definitely
do.
accepted by our consultant, and then,
Yeah.
you know, because you want a good stand of grass so that it doesn't get.
So
torn up.
now, at the same time you plant the north fields, the new field will get planted? No, that won't get planted
No.
until the fall,
Not
right?
till-
Next
Yeah.
Well, next.
Because they'll
Yeah.
have to move out first and then demolish the
That'll
existing.
be planted
Okay.
next fall,
Right,
So
so
not
that-
fall 15, fall 16 then, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was always the schedule
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah,
It's the Northfields that we hope to have sooner,
right.
Yeah.
until we had the septic issues
Yeah, the septic was,
we had. Really pushed us back.
Yeah.
made us lose a whole season.
So in terms of FF&E and technology procurement, those items are gonna be scheduled, for installation, you know, right after Braid's theoretically finishing the building in May. So the first will be the furniture installation, and then the second will be the technology, so that they can set the computers or whatever the machines are on the actual furniture after it's installed. And we still have a couple meetings to go. We've got sign-offs on most of the FF&E items. We're still looking for some of the sped items. And next month, what I'll do is I'll print up a large schedule that kind of shows you where the FF&E falls, the technology falls, Brait's schedule, so you can kind of see it all. And then we can coordinate it with Chuck's been working on the moving schedule too.
Okay.
So in one shot, we want to show that whole picture so you can see everything.
Yeah, we figured next month, it's a good time that we'll give you a full, I don't know what the word is, a full presentation on the full FF&E and
Yeah.
the technology, as well as the moving plans. We'll give you that heads up right up front. We'll do a full thing for you.
Okay, and so that'll include budget, because what do we have, $1,500 per kid, whatever that works out
She's
to?
gonna give you a little update on budget right now.
Oh, okay.
Right, we're a little high on the FF&E budget, and we've brought some recommended items to the table. What we'd like to do is talk those
Who you
over.
brought them to?
Well, we've talked with municipal about them. What we'd like to do is talk to the school district about them before we bring them to the table here.
Okay.
You know, the food
So where-
service.
Like, where are we coming up
Yeah,
over?
the food service is a little bit high, and then there's some of the equipment that's in there. I think there's a skid steer and things that we're not used to seeing. But we want to talk with the district, see what's appropriate, what their needs are, and see where the appropriate cutting areas are.
Okay, and that is going on, like, now?
You're right, we're gonna have to schedule a meeting probably
Okay.
next week.
Okay.
I think you mentioned 1,500, actually you have $1,200 a student for both.
Right.
Oh, 1,200,
FF&E
yep.
and 1,200
And
for
technology,
technology.
right.
Which is why if you look at the overall budget,
It's
the
the
numbers
same.
are the same.
Yep,
The
Okay.
924,
Yeah.
yeah.
right, so we are looking at that and trying to stick to that, right?
Right.
Yeah, you run a little high, as she said, you're running a little high. We're going a little back and forth. My philosophy with the
Yep.
consultant's philosophy is a little different. So we're having some discussions about that. I'm not saying she's wrong, I just look at it differently.
She just builds a
She's
little
adding-
cushion.
She's adding a cushion built into the numbers, like a contingency all by itself, right up front.
On, like,
I don't
furniture and
do
stuff?
that.
Why?
I don't know, that's why I'm getting to, we're having a conversation with her.
Right.
I don't like doing that. If the numbers she's using are numbers that she feels comfortable from historic values, that's the number we'll go forward with.
Because we have a
That's our
contingency,
target.
we have an owner's
Right,
contingency.
right,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
do.
Yeah, why don't we
Have
do
a
another one?
Double
contingency.
contingencies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's furniture
We're building a
and
little
it's
cushion.
fixtures that
Right.
you
Yeah.
take the number and you multiply it and get a
And
number.
what I've asked
Things that will
for
last a
Courtney
long
to
time.
ask
Right.
her to tell me is if she's building this in because there's areas that are undefined, I wanna define them first before we
Right.
go out to bid. I don't wanna have a hole, but
Right, right.
I don't believe that's the issue. I think it's just a philosophy issue. So we're gonna
It
talk
is-
some more
it is
about
just
that.
a little-
The bottom line is if you take that contingency out and you take some of these items that we've added in that perhaps you normally don't, I wouldn't say you don't see in schools, but you don't normally do. One of the big pieces of equipment Mike was looking for is a nice to have, but adding the contingency, the piece of equipment Mike wants, and the fact that the food service people had a lot of things in there, we call them loose wares, spoons, ladles, pots, pans, things like that.
Pizza oven?
No,
So
Some
cook
things
healthy,
like that.
nutritious meals?
you know,
Some are,
again, it's a philosophy thing. My philosophy is if you're using it now and it works, you should bring it over with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
we're facing.
Well, I
into
guess
that.
That's what I was gonna ask, is there anything you,
Yeah.
We are. So the bottom line
I
is,
mean, the
we're
kitchen
about
we have
60.
now is so ancient, I can't
I know,
imagine
if there's
there's
things that need
anything
to,
in there.
so,
but
There's no doubt.
there's pots
But
and
we're
pans.
about $66,000 apart, is really where we're sitting.
okay,
Which is not bad if
It's
you look at
not.
$924,000. That's not bad.
right, so
Well,
if there are things that
$66,000.
people.
considering, and that's
still
including that.
It's $66,000, that's a few computers.
Right, so
Yeah.
if there are things that people in this district want,
Understand?
will it be brought to us to make the, before you guys cut it, to say that if we have money, that yes, we can give it to them?
That's gonna be part of, you're gonna.
You're talking
That's a-
technology.
We're gonna ask you.
Technology
to-
and
Anything.
FF&E.
We're gonna ask you to give us a good block of your meeting.
Yep.
As an agenda item, as your meeting next month.
Okay,
To do exactly that and have that discussion. Have Mike come, Carol come, Margaret's here all the time. We're gonna
Okay.
have those discussions, have Wes here.
right, cause I mean,
Talk
if we
about
have
this.
money to, you know, that,
How far down is the technology plan at this point? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
It's further
they've-
behind FF&E, but they're
But
they're
they've
working on
locked,
it.
they made a lot of decisions
locked
on
in.
Yeah.
what
It's-
types of.
they
I'll
had
tell
to
you
do a
what,
lot with the, before the electrician stuff.
They've
with
gone
the
so
electrical.
far, Eric, is we talked about it at the end of the last meeting, after the meeting, and we talked to Wes about it, who's the technology director, last week. They've narrowed it down to
A plan.
grade levels that go to Chromebooks, grade levels that go to shared iPads, and then what the upper classrooms are doing for iPads and PCs actually in the rooms. They've narrowed it down almost room by room, but
Right.
grade by grade. It's a good plan. It
Yep.
really is a very comprehensive plan. This has been well thought out and well planned. Now it's up to us to make sure that we can buy within the numbers. That's where we sit with it. It's very well done. It's very, I mean, it's
That was
All right,
presented to the
so-
school committee at the last
extremely
meeting.
well done.
and
Okay,
Wes is leading that?
so,
Yes.
Yeah, he's
so maybe
been
at the next,
extremely helpful.
at the next meeting, when we talk about FF&E, if you can give us just a brief overview of where we are on technology, just so this committee just has an idea as far as, you know, even if
We
we
don't-
don't have the
we
numbers,
don't-
but
we
just to
can't
let us know what they've decided on.
We can't let the consultant put the FF&E and the technology out to bid until you've all understood it and agreed to do it, and Mike Farrell has signed off on it, because he's the chief procurement officer.
Yeah.
Mike doesn't sign off on what's in it, but how it's done,
Yep.
whether it's state bid lists or regular bids. So we're that close to getting that all wrapped up.
Just one other quick item. After all of this is said and done, I think everybody's got a real good handle between Courtney and Chuck and Wes. Everybody's really put a good effort in getting this done. But just bear in mind, you're not gonna buy this like you bought the general contractor. The guy's not gonna come in and give you one price for $920 some odd
Right.
$1,000. You're gonna actually get the prices, and even at that stage, we have districts that choose not to buy something at that point. They choose to, after they see all the numbers, they buy them in stages, you know, so in this case, we hope that you'll be able to just get everything ordered. But again, that's another fail-safe system, that after everything's done, everybody decides that that's what we want, the numbers are gonna come in, you're still gonna have a decision to take something out or not buy something. All the
Well,
way
that's why I
through.
was curious, how they put together that extensive plan without really knowing the budget?
No,
They're-
They,
we sat with them.
Oh, they know,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
they know,
know.
they know
Each-
that. They know the
each,
budget.
step-
Yeah.
each item has
They-
a number
So
associated
it
with
wasn't
it. It's a
just
huge,
wish list, it
No,
was a wish
no,
list
no,
with
it's-
the constraints of what
it's,
they had.
right, there's a spreadsheet that every time they change that number of Chromebooks
Yeah.
from,
Oh,
yeah,
that's in the technology.
Yeah.
This is the furniture. There's
Yeah.
28 pages of spreadsheets.
yeah,
On every stick of furniture that goes in there. This equates to about 38 different vendors.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Right.
take bids, probably three to four bids on 38 different contracts.
right,
It's-
and
it's nuts.
And some might come off, some might come off the state bid list too.
Some
right?
will come off
Some will
the
be
Some will
off
come off the
But
state
we'll get
bid
quotes
list.
off the state
you
bid
know,
But to
yeah,
answer your
yeah,
question, every
yeah.
time a change is made in this, in the spreadsheet, every time Wes is like, well, I think I need 10 of those instead of 5, it automatically calculates and brings a new total,
there's
so you can see
frustrating
how it
between
affects
two
the
as they
budget.
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the good stuff.
All right, so Chuck, do you want to update us on the moving plans?
we're going to get together soon after the first of the year as well, because I want to get this wrapped up so that we can start getting either boxes or rental crates or whatever it is to the teachers. We've talked to Margaret about it, we've talked to Carol about it, Mike and I talk about it every time we see each other to talk about doing it. The big thing is to let everybody know, and as we're working with the teachers, and we let them know whenever, with the few times that we met with them, is that we're gonna provide, as part of the move in here, again, your moving budget comes out of your owner's contingency, because we don't know how it's happening, so therefore that's where we put it, instead of having a separate line item for it. We sit and we go through that, and the biggest thing we do to help the move along is we're providing dumpsters. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's a huge deal,
gigantic.
because we don't want them to move the stuff they don't want or they don't use. Throw it out, dispose of it. We've even talked to, there was one teacher who works in the school,
Like the old pots and pans.
about the donation of equipment to schools that don't need it. There are companies that can do this. She wants to work with us on that. So we're gonna try to accommodate that the best we can. It's not gonna hold us back. We have to deal with Mike on how we get rid of the furniture. You have to declare it as salvage, you have to salve it, you have to have a yard sale, you can do all kinds of things. Because you own it, you just can't throw it
Even,
away.
it's
You can
public,
give it
even though it's
Right.
stuff you're gonna get rid of, you still have to go through a
Yep.
formal process to get rid of.
We're working with it.
Yeah, it's not easy.
So,
It's very deep.
so knowing that
Yeah.
there's a very tight time frame from when the kids are out of school to, you know, maybe allowing the police and fire, whatever, to come in and do their little thing to the demolition of the building, is that actually gonna go on while the kids are in school?
We're gonna have it all moved out and everything from the minute they leave the building. That next 5 days
So you
is all about
guys-
to move and throw out and get rid of. 5 days.
Number one, we better hope for not a lot of snow days.
We'll be all right.
Well,
So it's gonna be a
What if it-
crazy week to two when those kids are out of school.
Not a problem.
And what we don't wanna do is, we don't wanna delay the demolition, because the demolition.
No, I
is-
know,
Right.
that,
You
but
you
that's
won't
what I'm
get, you won't get
saying.
grass down next fall if
That's
we,
what I'm
we
saying.
start delaying the
But
demolition.
it's even before you get
That's
to
the
the
whole point.
demolition, as Pat said.
It's-
We have to abate the building.
You have to-
too.
you
We
got-
have to
you
get
got
rid of all the
hazardous
I
hazardous
know, you gotta wrap
You
it
got a
in the
month's worth
bubble
of
wrap,
hazardous
abate
abatement.
it,
That's in
do
the
all that
contractor's
stuff, I
schedule.
know,
It's already
so,
under contract, the notifications.
so you guys are working on that.
Oh.
You're working on the schedule right now,
This is one
so
part.
Yeah.
that all gets done,
That's crazy.
like
It's not
July
long.
1st or something, that building
Run around
comes
this building,
down.
It's crazy.
Okay,
So you're not gonna have time to write on the walls.
Yeah.
Margaret's going to do something.
You're not gonna have time to write on the walls.
Yes,
Last day of school,
Margaret
there's
is going to
time for
let the children
everything.
do something.
We'll have some little ceremony.
Margaret is
Yeah.
gonna let the kids do something.
during
And maybe
the-
other people in
I'm just
town.
tweaking you, I know. It's
During the
fine.
school year before the end.
While the kids are still in school,
No,
they're
the
gonna be
minute
able to
you
write on the
vacate
walls.
building, we're gonna take over, you can't give it.
I think every kid should be given a crayon and allowed to just walk up the hall.
Just take one whack with a
Marker.
sledgehammer.
See, exactly my point. Yes, okay. So, all right, so you're just gonna just keep updating us on,
Every
just
week we talk
every,
about it.
okay, okay, so we'll leave that on the agendas every week too.
Yep.
Okay, and then, Carol's not here, Mike's not here, so I don't know how much of a conversation we can have on the shed, cause I haven't been in any of those
We've-
conversations.
I can
We've been
tell
back
you
and
what I
forth
know.
with Mike.
All right, so
I
why
mean,
don't you just update us on, the shed for the
Equipment
North
shed.
Fields?
Yes.
There's been talk, well, I'll let you do it since I haven't really been involved in it.
Oh, Mike Anderson had requested just the size of the concrete pad that's proposed over by the Northfields, because he's looking
Yeah.
at putting a metal shed building there, and those are pre-engineered structures.
Can you
So-
point out, Courtney, where it's gonna be?
Yes.
What size is it now?
I think it's like 35 by 20 is the pad, I believe.
Yeah, it's almost 440.
So this is the location of the pad over here by the parking lot, which is a nice location. It's easy access, so we could keep equipment over there as well. So what he could do is give us the information, and we can always get it priced as part of the project. And those are engineered buildings. Some of them do custom sizes, and some of them don't.
So I don't understand what the request is. He wants the size changed or?
No.
He doesn't need to
No.
change the size. I mean, some companies do custom sizes, so we could get a proposal from that. And
Well,
then-
Well,
If
I-
you stay,
so-
if you
I
can-
have some
if
later
you can stay with the
information.
standard, it's gonna
Oh,
be cheaper.
okay.
as
I
opposed
just-
to-
Right, right, so-
I have some newer information that I haven't been able to fill her in. I sat with Mike Farrell last week, and we talked about it. Mike was adamant. One, it's been determined by him and or select whatever, that the money to purchase this building can come out of the project, can come out of the warrant.
Right,
So that's great.
yes.
We don't have it in our budget that we presented to you
Correct.
anywhere.
We have the concrete slab, that's it.
Right.
It can come
Yeah.
if
And
because it's come out that it will come out of the project. It will either come out of your 1.6 million, or it'll come out of anything we have left in contingency, and then we'll just move it back in, whatever we can do. We're just moving between lines.
Yep.
The bottom line is you have the money.
Right.
The issue is, as we've discussed it with Mike, and Mike agrees, the best way to procure this is outside of the building project. Although it's coming out of your warrant, he can procure it as a separate bid to build this building. So they're not gonna ask DRA to do anything.
Okay, that is news.
Right?
Okay.
They're gonna come up with a plan that they're either gonna go to vendors to
Who's
buy.
they?
The town. Working
Like a
with Mike
Morton
Anderson,
building.
work-
This is Mike Farrell you're talking
like
about.
Mike Farrell,
Yes.
working with him, either a plan to buy or build a shed
Okay.
and have it done. It's just gonna be funded from the project. That's the only thing we need to worry about, is what I've been told.
Okay.
And the purpose of this
possible?
shed is to
Store equipment. like
Athletic
maintenance.
Store
also
equipment and
equipment.
There's
everything.
a ball field.
Because we did the,
Yeah.
well, cause yeah,
It's
so
right next to the
we did the
well,
slab,
there's
and
no
there
power
is,
there.
we did do the electric up there.
Yes,
We
the
didn't do
elec-
any plumbing for
Nope.
a
And we know
toilet or
they need
anything though, but.
the storage for the equipment.
Yeah.
The power's there because of the well, we
Well,
put
'cause we
the
had-
power to it.
Right.
And well, plumbing, when you bring plumbing into that equation, you bring
That was
the need
huge.
for restrooms.
Yeah.
Handicap,
Yeah,
you
it's-
know,
The septic
all that
won't handle
stuff.
it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just,
Concession
You
stand.
cannot.
Yeah, plus we need another gallon.
well, you could.
Right.
Oh,
I don't know, I think it'd be a great idea. I mean, there's
It's a
sports
storage
fields
building.
right there.
One thing
Huge way to
Mike,
make money.
one thing Mike might be talking about too is like, if that is a 30, you said 35 by 40, or
Yeah,
no, 35 by 20? It may be, like an even number might be 36 by 20 or 24,
Right.
and that's a building that they have in stock, and it's,
Prefab, right.
It's
in
cheaper.
a Morton building, and it would be
Right.
cheaper than doing it that size.
So
Right,
we can
I
be
agree.
flexible on the size, correct?
It would
Yeah,
be.
you
So
wanna
he
stay
just
around
needs
standard.
to
You
make a
wanna standard
decision on
size,
Yeah.
what size.
And,
Okay.
Just-
Right.
you know,
we
they
just
have a
wanted-
piece of equipment now, they have a Kubota tractor that has the front bucket, and they have a snow blower they can put on the back. They can't put the thing on and put it in the garage they have, cause it doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit.
So you wanna make sure it's wide enough or
Yeah.
long enough that you can, and they have, you know, they have a pickup truck now with a plow, they have a 1-ton with a plow now. So you wanna be able to put this stuff inside so it lasts longer and
Will
doesn't get
3
damaged.
pieces like that
Right.
fit in the size you're talking about?
36, that would be like 3 bays,
It's a
Yeah.
three-bay.
Oh,
so, but 3 bays doesn't leave you any room for anything else.
on the sides.
Right.
You know, so they may wanna make it,
Concession
you know, a little bit wider, or, so.
A concession stand.
All right.
Yeah, one window.
So he really needs,
Yeah.
Mike really needs to
One
look
little
into what
window.
he
Well, there's
needs.
issues with gas and storing things next to it, even with the level changes, like if you have a garage environment and then you have a concession stand, you have to like adjust the slab.
There are concession stands and then there are concession stands. There's the kind that where you can cook hamburgers on,
Or one
and
that you
there's
can
one
just
that just,
sell
water
Anything that
and
has-
candy,
Yeah,
and that's it.
anything that has food, cause inspectors will come by and they'll get triggered and then they'll wanna ask the state. We've seen it before happen where
It's real
You know,
complicated
even the
fast.
concession stand at the football, the boosters use, doesn't have running water or anything in it.
Right, right, so you don't necessarily need running water.
food is
It can
what
be
triggers
simple,
it as well
simple.
as.
But it depends on what food it is.
Right.
No.
Yeah, hot dogs, you don't need a.
Yeah, there are certain items, if you're selling things that are packaged and everything, that you don't have to worry about.
Pizza.
Okay, well, we don't wanna.
Yeah.
That's
do
why you're
the
better off
concession
the
later.
shed
Right,
and
it's
concession.
it's not a concession stand,
I just
yeah.
wanted to get people
Right.
thinking.
When are they, are they not pouring that slab until the spring?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
we
he
have
has
time,
time.
so,
There's a little time to.
alright, so you just need to also just keep Mike in the loop then and just figure out, you know,
I talked to Mike.
as far as what size
more
slab
about
they need.
this than anything else.
Mike Anderson he had let us know what kind of features he wanted in, but that was before Chuck's conversation with Mike
We
Farrell.
talk more about it than anything else.
Okay,
We're all
so do we need to vote on this or it's just a done deal?
It's an FYI.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm glad there's
Unless
extra
you
money
feel
that the town
strongly
can use
against
from
it,
our
you
project.
know, that's it.
Courtney, is there gonna be a house, a controller for the wells, is it gonna be housed anywhere?
It's gonna be actually adjacent to that slab right over here. In
So
this
what
area.
is it, does it have some kind of housing, or?
There's two concrete pads and there's like an enclosure around the well controls.
Okay, so that's where the control's gonna be, you can put individual sprinkler heads on, or, and put them on.
Yeah, to
heads?
maintain, yeah, and I think, I'm not sure, I have to look at the specs and see what we have for sensors that identify when, you know, to trigger the irrigation system as well, cause sometimes they're rain sensors and
The
sometimes.
rain overrides, so you don't be
Yeah.
watering in the rain,
Right,
you know. yeah.
right,
And who's gonna operate that?
The rain sensor just will go on the building, it's wireless,
yeah.
and it when it rains, it just snows and it doesn't let the sprinkler turn on, so you're not watering the fields when it's raining. So
Oh.
when they put the sprinkler system on, that's included.
More homes need those.
So Mike Anderson will be operating that?
Well,
No, it's a clock. It will
Whoever
turn
is
on
eventually designated.
Someone's gotta set the clock though.
That's one of the easiest jobs. Whoever's gonna be handling the facility, whether it be HVAC, whether it's the gray water, whether it's the photovoltaic, the lighting control, one person obviously is gonna be in charge of that.
Right,
whoever
but
that-
you're asking
assuming that would be.
fields versus.
So it'll be someone along that line, because again, that's still part of the project. It's gonna be watering the school fields and so forth, you know? So it should be the school facility person that's handling it, probably in conjunction with, you know, Georgetown Athletic Department or something. Some of them will have other people involved, but it's good to keep it all under the umbrella of whoever's handling the facility.
It'll be
You
big.
don't wanna have too many people, you know, dealing with the,
I mean, he sets it once, it's basically good for the year. You know, and then he
Shouldn't
just
have to
turns it
mess
off
with
and
it too
blows
much.
out the system and he's done. He's got the same clocks at the high school, so he's used to this, so it should be no problem.
Yeah, I know the golf course has a similar system, and if they have like a brown spot, that sprinkler head will go on and treat that brown spot if there's,
That's manual, yeah.
so that's,
Yeah,
another
there-
way to control.
There's zones to this that can be controlled too in programs.
There's gotta be a lot of zones, right?
Yeah,
No?
Actually,
There's-
because it breaks out,
right.
when you added the North Fields, you added a couple zones for that, but the original design, I think had 4 zones on the soccer field alone.
On the soccer field, there'll probably be like 6 zones.
Yeah, but then you added all the zones
Right.
on North Field, so it's
Yep.
pretty extensive.
Oh, yeah, there'll be 6 zones for where the school is, and then the North Fields, there'll probably be another 6 to 8 zones.
Still teasing us with
But
that
remember,
back
there's
field,
no
right?
irrigation around the school,
Some-
it's all in the fields.
Oh, that's the old original drawing. I apologize, I ran out. I grabbed the first site plan I could see.
You better black it out.
Tease and Eric, yeah.
So that's not.
That's before we added the fields into the scope, so that's how they are now.
See where the tennis courts are?
Just to clarify, which are gonna be seated in the
pool.
spring, the
And the
light
track.
green up top,
Yes.
and then the darker green below are gonna be seated in the fall.
After the building.
Yeah.
is
After the building,
demolished.
I thought so, I just wanted to confirm, yeah.
And then the darker green septic area will probably also be in the spring too.
Okay.
It's like a trapezoidal shape, just north of the soccer fields.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so the last item was if anybody had any ideas or anything they wanted to talk about for use of our remaining contingency money at the end of the project.
Concession stand.
the only cautionary note we have is that
Yeah.
we don't encourage, you know, diving deeply into the contingency
No,
until
we're
we're
not, we're
further
just,
along, you know?
right.
So again, it's, you want,
But
that's
it was
fine
ju-
to
it was
talk
just
about,
a-
but yeah, it's,
We had talked about it last week, and I just
Yeah.
told people I would put it on the agenda for this
Yeah.
week, just for some potential ideas.
I think a
My
couple of
talk
things
was
came
about the
up.
building. I think
Was
that,
what?
the building should be larger so they have more room. That was,
Another classroom?
How about a freestanding gym and a track?
well,
Rack.
we already blew it
Rack.
on the gym. We're spending 300,000 up at the high school when we could have made the gym at Pembroke larger, but I know you can't do it because of MSBA rules. But they have 30-second clocks up there, but they don't use 30-second clocks till you get to varsity, so
Take clocks out of that.
at the Pembroke and bring them up to the high school because they don't use them at Pembroke. So,
Okay.
One of the things we will tell you, Margaret mentioned to me before when we're sitting here, as part of the FF&E budget is, for a host of reasons I won't get into because I'm not sure I understand them. The designers, not only the architect's DRA, but the designer for the furniture won't buy rugs through the FF&E budget for the classrooms. It has to do with the ADA and a few other things. That doesn't mean you can't buy them, and it means that doesn't mean we won't buy them. We're gonna buy them.
Are you talking area rugs for the classrooms?
Area rugs for the
Okay.
classrooms. We're gonna buy them. We're gonna buy them through your FF&E budget, or we're gonna bring you and say, from your owner's contingency, there's X amount of rugs. You're
For
gonna
every
get-
classroom?
Margaret and Carol were all concerned because they were told they couldn't have them. No, you're going to get them.
Right, we
They
just said
just
not,
can't
just
buy.
not out of our
Yeah.
They just can't buy them.
design.
Well, they
Well,
can't.
shag, yeah,
Purpose.
what do you-
We're gonna take care of it. It happens on every job, it's a nuance, it's weird, but you'll still get the rugs.
Okay, all right. Yeah, 'cause I can't remember, who was here, what did we talk about last month? Why did this come up? Was there?
Jeff had
I don't
something.
know.
Yeah,
But-
somebody
I
had
think it was
something.
that building, that maintenance building.
It
must
might
have
have
been
shed,
part
it
of
was?
I think so.
Okay, maybe
I mean,
that's
if you
what
go
it
over
was.
to
I couldn't
the
remember.
maintenance shed they have at the high school, it's just full. There's no room for anything else. They have, I think there's 3 or 4 sea cans over there they put stuff in. So if you could make this, larger and be able to fit their equipment in
Right,
it.
well, all right, so, but wait, so we are talking two different things, because this shed thing, that's not part of our,
It's a garage.
okay, it's not part of our project, it can actually come out of the underbid money. We're not really talking about going into our underbid money,
Okay.
per se, we're
I
talking
don't
about,
think, to me,
We
I
don't
would
wanna
think
do
you'd never
that.
have to go into your underbid money.
okay, but we could for the shed, cause it's not part of this
You
project.
could, but I'm saying, we're hoping that there's gonna be, between the owner's
Why would
contingency
you wanna
and the.
do that?
Yeah.
With the contingency.
Well, I have,
money.
how much is this shed gonna cost?
I have no idea how big it's gonna be. I'm hearing a lot of sizes thrown around.
Yeah.
It's
It's
getting
so
bigger.
We
than
might
it
have
is.
to re-
Touchdown.
we might have to do
It's
some
been-
36 by
regrading depending on
24.
how
Do
big
not
this
do
thing
that.
gets.
But are we gonna have enough money with our contingency money to buy it? I didn't know.
Well, we have, I would think.
We will, okay,
Yep,
okay.
I'll let you know.
Roger's got a question.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Well, I'm wondering, since we're talking about sheds, is there going to be a garden shed as a part of the project?
There's actually one
Yeah.
out there now. It's
Yeah.
it's been installed.
Yeah.
Oh,
It looks
okay.
like the Rubbermaid
Yeah,
one you would put
it's
on
out
your,
there.
Yeah.
Great, okay.
that's what it looks like.
Yeah, you can fit 2.
Oh, is it on the roof? Where is
No,
it?
it's on the
No,
ground, right
it's
near
on
the
the ground.
playground.
It's here. It's located.
On the green
I know,
roof,
right
on the
on
green
the
roof.
There is a garden on the
There's, it's grass, it's green up
Walked
there,
on it.
it's up there. Okay, I'm sorry, it's on
Off and
this.
kind of run the toes
It's
through
over
it.
by the student.
All right, so do we kinda wanna just table this then, as far as, I mean, we've got signs that we potentially might need,
Yeah, we
have
talked
the
about if
shed
you'd open a mic
things.
and Chuck will
you know,
deal with
quality
it.
wall.
Maybe
I mean,
Peter
so
has some
just
ideas
every-
on the
just-
mic as well.
It's
You
very,
won't have to close this, to be straight up with you, you won't have to close this until sometime next year, right now. I mean, you'll be open for a year. Don't worry about it. You'll be able to, if you wish to do this stuff, and it's a timely time,
Just wait and see how much contingency.
So we wanna
Right.
save a little in
Right.
case something comes
well,
up.
we could, but then, you know what I mean, like, so, right now you're saying that the FF&E or the technology, one of them was like $66,000 over, so we wanna, when you guys hammer it out, we wanna see what
Yeah, it's much
what
easier
they
to see
wanted.
to see that
Right,
technology
so like, we
than
wanna
that.
see
Yeah.
what they wanted for X amount of money to decide if we wanna put the money towards that,
Absolutely.
so,
And that's the presentation you're gonna get next month.
okay,
You're in a good position because you've got a lot of flexibility right now.
that's great. Okay, do you have anything else, you guys? No, we're good? All right, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
When's the next meeting?
I don't know, I need to
13th
check.
The second Tuesday, the 13th. of
It's probably
January.
gonna be the second, they're going over to,
Love to make it.
they're trying to change the way that they post them here. All right, so all in favor?
Aye, aye.
Opposed, yes.
Who would
Thank you.
oppose?
Thank you. I need to check.
So you think you can give me a ride, Carrie?